Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
We're here today to call for an end to this warmongering, saber-rattling insanity that the U.S. government is engaged in with Russia, trying to use the Ukraine as a proxy. And do we really think that the United States cares about the sovereignty or democracy inside Ukraine?
No.
When Joe Biden said that if Russia had a minor incursion, as he called it, into Ukraine, there probably wouldn't be a need for an all-out military attack, the Washington Post said he sparked outrage. He wasn't hawkish enough. And then Biden came back later and, said something sufficiently warlike for the hawks and for this hawkish media. And so we see that there is no real voice of peace inside this U.S. government. Democrat, Republican, we know that war and imperialism is a bipartisan issue.
No war with NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
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 This is insane. This is insane. And who is they protecting? Who is this government that they say they're coming in to support? It's not a government elected by the people of Ukraine. It was a government decided in one of them back rooms in this baby right here. That's where the decision was made. And who is it? It's another Nazi, another dictator, another totalitarian friend of the U.S. No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
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 You know, it's funny, when you think about NATO and what it purports to be, they say it's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right?
Yes.
But somehow we see NATO in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya. Those aren't exactly places I'd classify as North Atlantic. Now, I ain't no geographical genius. But what's clear is that regardless of what NATO says, regardless of what the United States and its junior partners in that body says, all NATO is just one more vehicle to try to solidify U.S. hegemony, U.S. control, a unipolar world where the United States keeps its fangs and its claws sunk into the people's lands and resources all over this globe.
I'm not here to say that Russia is a perfect country, far from it. But Russia, and in fact Ukraine too, whose government is a puppet of the U.S. since the U.S. coordinated coup in 2014, have made clear that they do not seek war. Russia does not seek to invade Ukraine. Ukraine does not think that Russia will invade soon anyway. In fact, most NATO countries have said that they have no reason to believe Russia will invade soon. So why are we told day in and day out from the U.S. corporate media and the U.S. government that we are on the brink of war? I think some history is important here. This is not the first time that the U.S. elite has tried to fool us into starting brutal international conflict. We must not fall for these false provocations propagated by the U.S. elite and their puppets in the corporate media. Let us be clear again, NATO is the aggressor. The U.S. is the aggressor. It is our duty as citizens of this country to name and challenge our enemy and our own oppressor. We must challenge and struggle against the war contractors who who are looking to start more wars to gain endless profits.
What do we want?
No war!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
No war!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
No war!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
No war!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
No war!
And when do we want it?
Now!
What do we call lying about human rights in Cuba and accusing Cuba of drug trafficking?
U.S. foreign policy!
What do we call ignoring the murders of unarmed protesters in Colombia?
U.S. foreign policy!
What do we call the denial of food and medicine to children in Yemen?
U.S. foreign policy!
And if I could go on about all the other countries, we'd be here all afternoon.
No war with Russia! Disband NATO! No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!
No war with Russia!
Disband NATO!